Philadelphia's roughest neighborhood. But just 12 miles away, you'll find this. This is Gladwin, Pennsylvania's richest town. With a median house value of over $2 million, Gladwin is one of Philadelphia's many wealthy suburbs.
Gladwin is locked in time. Gladwin is the Brigadoon of America.
A lot of our friends are in real estate, a lot of finance still here, private equity, hedge funds, lots of private wealth management.
The quaint town, however, is about to experience a massive change. So we just found out something crazy about the town, which is that it was just bought by an individual. We wanted to see what Gladwin's like and find out why it's so wealthy. We also want to find out why is it connected to Kensington and why is its history that of America in many ways.
I mean, all these factories and everything that are around here, the people up there were the ones that owned it down here. They're rich.
Come with us to Pennsylvania's richest town to find out. Our journey starts in Kensington. Kensington is known as the zombie capital of the U.S.
Zombie capital. Oh, yeah.
YouTubers who've done videos there. But it used to be quite different. How long have you lived in Philly?
Say 73 years. My parents moved here when I was 2 years old. The farm burned down.
Wow.
So we moved here too.
So what did this neighborhood used to be like?
Factories, really big factories. I mean, big factories. They had a carpet factory, that, and of course the telephone company. That building right back down there.
Wow.
They were a real big thing around here. Back when I was a kid.
I was a boy.
My father worked. My mother did not work. We were able to afford a house, a car. We had vacations all the time. We were doing everything with no problem. How much has changed since then? I mean, you have 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and you still can't afford a house around here. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Unfortunately, and this is my personal opinion and my personal opinion only, democracy apparently lasts only about 250 years before corruption finally seeps in and destroys it.
Hey, we need kings, yo. I mean that, like, literally, like, we need people to step up and be leaders.
Helped earn Philadelphia the nickname of the workshop.
Like, regal leaders, like,
Located right on the water, Kensington was
if you know, you know, there's a royal art. We need people who can practice it.
But it was most known for making textiles. This was the Kensington Mill District, which was once the world's HQ of textiles. Yeah, so believe it or not, the cowboy hat was invented behind us. This used to be the iconic...
The cowboy hat was invented in Pennsylvania, apparently. Pennsylvania's based. I became a huge fan of Pennsylvania when I read the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin.
So one reason why Kensington was such a good neighborhood for manufacturing and factories and coal depots is right on the water here. You can see Philadelphia's downtown, and these used to be shipbuilding yards where we are now, and today they're just, new sort of houses. And again, it's just crazy to think that this place built 10,000 ships in World War II. And the reason it's connected to Gladwin is this.
I mean, all these factories and everything that are around here, the people up there were the ones that owned it down here. They're rich. That's what they are. They have big
Yep, you gotta do it that way. My town was the same too. I consider my town to be old money, even though people think it's kind of run down. No, dude, you should check out these houses.
Let's drive to the filthy rich suburbs. Alright, we're about 3 miles away from Gladwin.
I don't think people understand how wealthy it is. It's one of the parts of the regal art. If you don't have people who understand what real wealth is, it sort of deteriorates.
From Bentleys all the way down to something that should probably be in a junkyard.
Real societal wealth.
What's the reputation like Gladwin? That's where we're heading out today. The rich.
Or family intergenerational
A
wealth.
richier area that I don't live in.
In the long term, those two sort of coincide. That's kind of the point.
Area, lots of historic homes.
Is it kind of old money
The patricians were basically the old money, and then they sort of evolved into a plebeian.
But the college is a big deal around here, like Penn and Villanova
I don't know.
and all that.
Plebeian dick measuring contest,
There's a
basically.
celebrity you'll sometimes see around these parts.
Just a social status signal. It's not really what it's supposed to be.
They're a little overconfident. They can fit in them big draws.
They got a little overconfident with it. But they're good.
Come and visit around the holidays. And he's very friendly, very personal guy.
Before we left this guy, I had to call him out on one thing. By the way, are you from Delco by chance?
Yeah.
The accent.
Oh my
I
god.
got that accent down.
An accent?
The Delco accent.
That's crazy.
You know, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's a good thing. I like the Delco accent.
That's a fine thing,
It was
dude.
great to encounter an accent from the nearby Delaware County in the wild. They truly are one of one.
Would you look at that? Philadelphia. It's Owen Sturter.
Sturter?
Did I stir?
Did I stutter?
Alright, so first
That's kind of a
impression
weird way
of
to
the
speak.
Gladwin area as we're
I like
driving
different ways
toward
to
it,
speak,
we're 2
though.
miles away, is that it's just super
I gotta wash this brush. This brush is so effed.
very
This
pretty.
isn't the one I just used.
Homes, historic feel. You can tell a lot of these buildings on
This
the
is, look at all the purple paint on this one though. It is messed up.
But it's got like a very quaint, old, patriotic, I like America.
America.
Have you
That's
been
kind of what it has,
to
and
how
that's kind of what
bigger
all of Pennsylvania is.
and
Pennsylvania is
bigger
really interesting
and
as a
bigger.
state.
Wow. This is Allen Iverson's old home right here, 1432 Monk Road.
And we in here talking about practice.
Check it out.
Practice. We gotta practice our
In fact, it has just
butts
4,000
off.
people. In its town center, you'll find a library, a grocery store.
Oh, libraries are cool. I mean,
Okay,
as
so
far as
after
I'm aware,
the
like
four mansions,
Benjamin
I wanna
Franklin,
give you
like
a quick
basically
shout-out.
invented libraries in a way,
Today's video, American
which is
Finance.
kind of an
I mean,
interesting
come
thing
on,
to think
we're in
about.
Orange Town in Pennsylvania. We have to talk about smart financial decisions. Okay, so if you have credit card debt, you know,
Oh, come
your
on.
holidays, groceries are expensive, you just have to get that little boo-boo, whatever it is, then you have the opportunity with American financing to pay off that debt with the rates in the low.
Okay, I'm not trying to do an advertisement in this stream, so let's skip ahead, guys. I just want to look at nice houses.
William Penn, of course, created Philadelphia based on Utopia.
Based on Utopia, that's so based.
Streets.
My state is awesome.
His attempt to create the perfect suburban example.
Okay, that's kind of
Very
gay,
lucky
but
to keep it this way. Many people tried to come in here and turn it into a just madhouse, and we fought just to keep it this way. The McCaffertys wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a group of the villagers, which we got together, which I was a part of.
the madhouse.
The developer for putting in 65 apartments. Early on, there was mills down the bottom of the street. This was a mill town. Oh yeah. Sorry about the phone.
No worries,
But
it's nice.
I can't
Background.
turn it off. So, I mean, some of the nouveaux that come in here
Can't turn it off. I wonder why. I wonder if he's like on call.
And it's like, okay, you made it. Good for you. Treat the people here.
Here it's a mix though, all over.
That I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, he's talking about the rich people, maybe?
All I know is
Oh.
we've been here for years, and some of the newer people can be a little bit over the top initially.
Oh, the new money
What's
people?
your favorite part about it?
That's funny.
My church.
My church,
They're
duh.
married there.
What kind of church is it?
St. John Vianney, it's Roman Catholic.
Dude, church was a spot when I was growing up, dude.
Married there?
I love church so much.
RFK.
That's the only thing I ever did. Literally, I just...
This is the little secret.
Church is my thing, dude.
Like I said, Brigadoon. Just because it's tucked off to the side, it has not been overdeveloped. Anyway, you got the right guy. Born and raised here.
I grew up in Belmont Hills, which is Montgomery County,
Belmont.
just outside of Gladwin, and definitely like a big change as you get a little deeper into Montgomery County. A lot of big houses, not many sidewalks. Definitely feels like a very rich town. The friends that I have, or the people that I know there, their parents like own the Comcast center downtown, or
Right.
involved in these big political issues. Definitely a lot of big figures. We definitely have a lot of suburbs around the city.
I have wondered, like, where do the richest people in each city live? Because they
Oh my goodness.
probably
The
stick
houses
around.
here?
I mean,
Okay, we are finally.
by definition, they're in the city. If you know, by definition of what I'm requesting, the information. So I do wonder where they live in just generically, like in any city.
Here is going for $9 million.
I live in a lot of cities,
For sale
so
right now in Gladwin.
I think
And
about
9,000
city
square feet.
politics
Like most
quite a
here,
bit,
it's
and
beautiful.
city
It's
economics and social
incredible.
status and such.
It's a great lot. It even has a name, Highborn. So this house right
Highborn,
here is
that's the
18,000
name.
square feet.
It's such a
going
new
for
money
$7
term.
million. Ryan Serhan just did an amazing walkthrough of the house.
I know it doesn't sound
But
like
again,
it, but to me, it is like a.
old school
It's like
mansion.
Sounds like the type of thing that like
Gladwin. First of all, the average
an
house,
American
the median
would
house sold
put
last
on their
year went
house
for
or
over
whatever.
$2 million. So like the median is high. And you have a bunch of old-looking traditional, as if they were built in the early 1800s homes, like this one behind us. And it's very rustic. Like you have a lot of like look at this property behind us. You can only see the house through the trees here.
I'm not a huge fan of the dots, but I'll fill that in maybe. The yellow's kind of ugly in there.
One resident told us it was
Looks like a fungus.
Ken's idea of a
Gross.
green village. So yeah, but this is a typical house here. I mean, this is a joke. This house
Whoa,
right
what's up,
here,
dog?
29,000 square feet.
This just said hello.
It has a bowling alley, an elevator, a wine tasting room,
What is
a 9-car garage, a fitness suite. It has its own
What's up,
massage
dude?
room, which, let's leave that there. Sold for $10 million today on the market, estimated for $12-15 million, and also good to show a tale of two Gladwins right here. I mean, nice
Oh,
home,
wow.
but yeah, it gives a little perspective. I mean, this is unbelievable. On Marion Square, check it out.
Yeah, it's
Now,
a
before we
nice
explain
house.
the Philly economy and give you the big reveal on how Gladwin's about to change, you have to see the other wealthy suburbs of Bryn Mawr and Ardmore, just to give you a sense of the scale of the Philly suburb wealth.
Here's the thing about United States, like the various states. I think that like a lot of the eastern states have already acquired their wealth and have just been sitting on it. So like a lot of the states that just seem to do nothing and that are, you know, maybe flyover, they've already like contributed in some major way to the United States story. So like Pennsylvania, it's like very steel oriented. Like certainly helped with like railroad expansion and such. Philadelphia is obviously like a founding city of the United States. The Liberty Bell and such. I guess I'll turn this back on. Not that. Don't want to watch that. I don't really want much talking. I just want to see the buildings. I'll play some DC stuff just to do like a, I don't know, architectural recap for myself.
Today we're in Washington, D.C. My name's Nick Potts.
But maybe let's not listen to the guys talk. But I don't know, it was cool living here. I cycled it every day, basically. Lived in like 4 locations in the city, 4 or 5 maybe. Got paid that Amazon cash to be there. And then bought this house. I imagine that turning the audio off of the YouTube video that I'm, you know, narrating or whatever probably greatly helps the whatever censor algorithm there is to prevent copyright strikes on streams. DC is a pretty nice place to live, I have to say. I would go into that basilica and pray just during the week, especially after I quit Amazon. So I quit Amazon and then had like, I don't know, 2 or 3, like roughly 2 months full time in DC, just to myself. like no job or anything. So I would I think one of my favorite things to do is just to go to the Basilica and pray. At least during a period of, there was a time in DC when I did that, where I was meditating 8 hours a day. And during that process, I met someone sort of related to the Nobel Peace Prize winner last year, the Venezuelan politician. Her crew were basically refugees. They were stuck in the embassy because they were sort of an opposition political party that were being persecuted in Venezuela. And so they sought refuge in the United States under the behest of, I forgot the guy's name, Marco Rubio maybe, or Ted Cruz actually. I say Marco Rubio because he was the one that did the Venezuelan stuff, but I'm fairly confident it was like Ted Cruz or someone that got them political refugee status in the U.S. But during my month of meditation, apparently, I manifested. I don't really understand how to describe manifestation, but I think it's like sort of a mini worlds quantum interpretation is probably the best way that I can describe it. So manifesting is not really a thing, it's just like maybe a perspective or something, but either way, my meditative practices brought about, or coincided with, let's use that word, meeting someone related to the Nobel Peace Prize winner, the political manager, basically, the manager of the politician who won the prize. So, like the leader of the team, I guess, besides the politician. And her husband, who is the person who I actually talked to. Or bodyguard, I'm not sure if it was actually her husband. I was thinking like maybe they would need a bodyguard or something, but maybe a husband. He became a smoke buddy. A Nietzschean professor, basically. Venezuelan professor. I have gone to places and worked there and then quit the job and lived there for like several months in a few places. That building's kind of strange. So the Capitol basically has like a defensive wall of like external bureaucratic buildings that block it, that protect it. And I said the Capitol, I meant the White House has. So they can, like, they have multiple fences that they can put up, but then they have like these like neoclassical sort of like defense wall buildings, basically, is what I think of them as. I mean, obviously people like work in them, but like they do sort of shield the White House from the public, basically. It's a nice building though. I'm actually interested to see what the white paint does here. I'm going to move this over here, and I want to see what white looks like. So for this, I'll just dab some whites. That's probably enough. Maybe I'll do this edge too. Boop, boop. I need to write a goal real quick. Revise my goals. That's what the alarm is for. So if hopefully those dabs of paint, they're relatively thin. I hope they don't dry before I can get a paintbrush on them. Consider the goal written, or rewritten, because that's what I do. I rewrite them multiple times. It still kind of has paint, but it's not that bad, so I'll just brush it off of my iPad. Alright, to use my right hand or my left? I think I'll use my left. It's a bit distant, so I think I want to use my proper hand here. Although I'm going to use my right for this one. The angle here to paint is actually quite difficult for me. Looks a bit like mayonnaise, which I'm not a fan of. It's just like cured butter or lard or something. Although the Japanese mayonnaise is pretty good, which apparently they put on everything. Sort of blended in here. Might be some pink involved here. some red involvement. Bro, this painting looks gross now. Don't even know what to call it. Let's see. What's the best way to fix it? More green, I think. So it's, I think the red. I think there should be some yellow and some green in the white. So let's do a line of defense in the green color here. I don't want to use too much in the laptop. Like it's a lot of paint. So we have a green line. It's the last of the paint I'm going to use here. And then we have a yellow line. Oh, I have a bulk yellow that I'll use. There it is. Mustard yellow. And so the yellow line should go on the red side here. So I'll put some defense posts. There we go. Alright. So let's see what I'm doing here. So right now I'm just working on the basic color gradient. I just want to get some of my basic fundamental colors down. And then I might decide what to draw after I sort of get an organic color mixture. Color gradient. Okay, I actually think I want to, each of these can be a sort of pulse outwards. Just like that. And then I kind of want to shoot that like downwards. And then I think because the white paint is so undry, it is probably going to mix pretty heavily here. I think it's probably the same with the green paint as well. I've actually used some of this paint up here as well, so I'll probably do that. So I'll go ahead and point. Well, this is yellow. This is yellow paint, so I'm not super concerned. Maybe I can drag the yellow wall farther over and down. There's so much paint on here. Alright, so now I'm just going to use a thicker brush for the green here. I don't really want to agitate the triple-headed snake, so I'm not going to. Just kidding. Goodbye, snake. You're now hidden under the grass. Okay. And there is an awful lot of green area that we can set up down here, given all that green. So you can't see that though. Okay, I think some of the red with silver over here probably is deserving of some yellow as well. I can merge in some red. I don't want to get too mixed up here. Whoa. know if I really want to put a wet brush on this, but I do want to sort of brush out some of this stuff. Ooh, got a little green mix in there. I guess that's fine. I'm going to wash that out though. That green mix is just going to stay there. But I'm not going to continue to drag it, but I am going to drag some of the sort of, I guess, red stuff here and try to incorporate that and bring that out. More green, that's fine. That's it. It's like a pretty decent amount of red. Let's go in and that picked up more green. Keep doing that. I think I want to sort of pull the, as long as I don't pull the green, I want to pull some more red up into this, and then I'm fine pulling in some of this red. So a lot of this paint's already dry, so it isn't going to get merged blended too well. I do want to avoid any type of green-yellow mix at the moment. I'm going to take care of that green-yellow mix soon. That up. That's good. Okay, I think it's actually, just real quick, probably a good idea to emphasize the yellowness of this down here. And I can delineate it more and not blend it in with the redness above. So I'm just going to sort of draw a nice yellow boundary here. And I don't want it to go too far into the bruh. That yellow got really strong there. Painting in the dark is weird. Bruh. Okay, I think I'll leave probably that for silver or light or white. I don't know what's going on with this thing. I don't know what this thing is going to be. I think I'll wait till the daytime. It's sort of difficult to get a good uniform light on it that lets me know what has been painted out and what it looks just like a big color smear. But I can see some clear delineation here, so we'll see what it becomes over time. And let's take a look at how the city of HackMatrix is progressing here. This mural is kind of getting wild too. So today I did add it's going to be somewhat difficult to see probably. Let me go over here. So I did add a green and a blue underline to the HackMatrix on the wall to represent the green and the blue of the name, host, and file working directory. I think that's a nice touch for the art. Camp Bell apartment. I have a thing for staying at places that have my last name in it, so staying at the Camp Bell apartments actually sounds quite interesting. Or that looks like a bar. I suppose this is in DC, since that's, I think, the video that I'm watching. Or maybe it's just a restaurant, the Camp Bell restaurant. There's probably quite a few buildings in DC that I did not get to go into. I mean, that's definitely a fact. Like, the majority of the buildings I did not go into in DC. I did go into the, I guess, conference room for the Cosmo Club or something. The Cosmos Club or something. They had a NASA, I wouldn't say UFO researcher, but let's call him a professional UFO debunker or something, basically. He is a government contractor and engineer and such. Okay, that's definitely not DC. Imagine being the cameraman for that video. He's like swiveling so crazily. Oh, we have chat. Let's take a look at chat. Hello, chat. Alright, am I using a helmet? No. No VR. This is a mouse and keyboard setup. Melted Lawn Flamingo says hello. Speaking of, or rather thinking of engineering, or thinking of art and engineering, I have a piece of art that represents this channel's commitment to engineering. So I'm going to go grab that. So this is how I go do that. I need a browser. So hopefully I can open up another Chromium. Hopefully there isn't a limit on the number of Chromiums I can open. Okay, so I need to get into AWS console. My model files are backed up on S3, although I should probably just download them all. There isn't, as far as I can tell, a bulk downloader. Also, did the stream freeze? Okay, it's not the stream. That's sick. Okay, I guess this is just all New York architecture now, which I think is cool. I lived in New York for a year and something last time I lived there, and then I actually was homeless there for a while and lived there after being homeless, and lived in Tribeca. Got to live in a robotics factory. I have very fond memories of New York as a sort of ruffian, which, as a genuine New York ruffian, I spent a decent amount of time in the Grand Central Terminal. Even if you're not a ruffian, you end up spending a lot of time there if you travel by like bus or something. It's just a local MTA bus there. Okay, we're talking about AWS here, which is frozen. I don't know why this is. Oh, okay, it's just bad UI. Oh, that's a C. I thought that was a loading wheel. Okay, this UI is terrible, but regardless, I can sign into my console here. Okay, where is my phone? Because that is what I will be needing. I need to make sure all my paintbrushes are in the water as well. I just thought about that. Okay, so let's pull up the auth app and wait for the expiration. And here we go. We're in. Okay, let's go download engineering.obj, or engineering object. This will be in the Atlantis Cybernetica assets. Also, I'm going to open civilization.obj, because civilization, the abstract concept, is represented by another temple. So I'm going to import another temple. So let's download civilization.obj, civilization.material, and then engineering.obj, engineering material. Did I just download the material first? I think I did. Oh, I already have those, civilization, so that's cool. So let's go to engineering then. Download, okay, so it's not a copy there. And then oh, I think Yang has probably already. Why is there a PNG? I guess some models have PNGs, so I need to make sure all of that's installed and downloaded. Oh, like the engineering.png. Which one did I download? The material first? OBJ first, so let's download the material. Okay, and I can go back, and then I've tried selecting this and then saying, okay, download it. But if I do more than one, it doesn't allow me to download anymore. I guess I could download them from here. That's pretty quick. It's quicker than what I was doing. Okay, so I also want yang, but this is probably a duplicate, I guess. Nope. Okay, so let's grab these. They probably want you to use the API, not the console, to do this. Okay, there we are. So let's import these. Our temple is massive here. Let's put civilization in the corner with the. Actually, that would block the moss. I'm not sure where the best place to put it is. I do still like the corner with the moss, but again, it would block it. But for now, let's just bring in civilization or engineering. Is just what I said we were going to do first. So that was engineering. Engineering star to Kuberlogos, which is the parent folder Vox, I believe. Okay, so that has brought all the files. Let's change directory and go to the Vox. So now we have Yang, which was already there, I think, and then engineering, which is what we want. Okay, so I can just work from this terminal. So I will change into HackMatrix. And then I will source the venv in activate. What time is it? Just gotta see what time. Looks like a decent time. Okay, so now I want to Python scripts entity TUI. Okay, and then from here, I think there's some entities that, yeah, so 41, 42, 43 is the map, which has been perma-saved, apparently. So let's add a model to 41. And this will be home colon Kuber logos vox engineering .obj. So I don't have to import all those files. It just the obj will keep reference to the files via relative links, basically. I'll do a positionable. So let's see if we can see it now. Sometimes we can. Okay, so I don't actually see it. Let me make sure the path is correct. Engineering obj, okay. So one thing I can do is just make it 10 times bigger, and we definitely see it now, so it's here. Okay, I think maybe dropping it to 2 is probably good, and then we can move that to, let's see where to drop this thing. Where should our monolithic sculpture to engineering go? The funny thing is that this gear I handmade in Magic Voxel, it's not actually symmetric. You can see that stub is like kind of fun, you know. So it's actually kind of a deranged god of deity of engineering. Maybe it should go in the temple. If it's going to go in the temple, though, it's got to get smaller. Alright, let's put it in the temple. I like that idea, actually. So let's make it scale of 1. I can't believe I couldn't see it at 1. Maybe I was just blind. Okay, so let's raise it. Probably 5. Okay, and then let's import it in a positive direction to the, I believe that's positive, maybe it's actually negative. Negative 15 into the temple. That's not enough. I think I remember this being actually like negative 40. And then let's move it back towards the door, like maybe -15 or -20 or something. Let's see where it's at. No. Okay, I think I put it into the wall. That's my total. Okay, so I think let's do -18, and then this should probably be like -36, something like that. So let's go take a look at it. Okay, it's kind of in the light. I like that. I think it's probably good. I do want to rotate it probably 90 degrees. I think that's probably a good idea. Where'd my terminal go? At some point I need to fix hotkeys. I can't ship the distro without hotkeys. Okay, I like that. That it's got a little bit of shadow. You can see it's obviously back shadow, but I mean the shadow from the pillar. I think that looks cool. Okay, so there is our monument to engineering, or maybe it can be an icon, like I click on it and then it opens like engineering tools or teleports me to like an engineering room or something. So I'll keep that there. I think one more thing I'll do is add yang. So yang is a ship, as in yin yang, as in dark and bright, as in, well, yin yang. So I can use, let's see, 42 for this. So this will be home column Cougar logos vox yang.oj. And then I can add the positionable, and we should see a chip maybe teleport into here. And we didn't, but that just may be because like the positionable wasn't like actually properly added. And there we go. There's our ship. It's actually a decent size for scale. So let's move it out into the water. Should be like 30. So goodbye to you, and then let's drop it. We don't really even need to care too much about its heading or anything. But let's drop it 10 and see where that puts us. Or that's, you're about to sink, dude. Get up out of the water. Okay, there we go, there we go. Okay, so now let's rotate it a bit. So if I were to see that ship, I would think that it is sailing. I would think it's sailing this direction. Although I probably need to narrow the front to give an indication of what that is. But let's rotate it maybe 45. I think is what I want. I forgot to press enter. I think. Alright, let's take a look. 45. Oh, that's impossible to see now. But that was the correct direction, I think. So maybe let's try 20. It's a bit deceptive to see how that is set up because there's no light up there. 25. I think 25 is fine. I think that works. Usually I have like a light attached to it, and then bro, what is happening? That is cool. It's like techno trance. Yo, that bug, whatever that bug is, it just actually makes it cooler. I could pretend that's on purpose. The kitty term Gen 2 Flash. It's like people start asking me like, how do I get the border on that? It's like I have no idea. It just happened. It's a bug. Tis a bug. Oh, is that a New York library? Is that the one in like Bryant Park or something? Dude, New York libraries are next level. Absolutely next level. I don't know if that's actually even a New York library, but I brought when I went to New York homeless, became homeless. I brought a robot with me because I thought I was going to build a robot or try to sell it. Within like 2 or 3 days, it got destroyed, and I remember pulling it out in one of these libraries, and I was like going to work on it and maybe stream or something. Maybe, probably record a video. I don't think streaming was big yet. And it was like destroyed, and I'm like, okay, I have to pivot now. And that's when, during my homeless period in New York, is when I built this search engine for Jordan B. Peterson, or that I built a search engine for YouTubers, for like, honestly, my YouTube channel, and then also I had another YouTube channel back then, and then also for like indexing like my favorite YouTube channels. And so I built that while in the homeless shelter, and then met Alexis Ohanian's cousin, who owns a robotics factory, and I moved into that factory, and then eventually sold that product that I built while homeless to Jordan B. Peterson. Technically, I sold it to his son, so his son helps manage Jordan B. Peterson's business affairs, basically. But it was like contracted, like the payment was contracted through Jordan Peterson's consulting, like psychology services company or whatever his corporate business LLC is. So that was a fun business deal. I remember, I guess at this point I was already probably an advanced meditator and was already like heavily practicing manifestation. But I remember I was in a hotel, or not a hotel, I was in a condo in downtown Denver, Colorado. And this, I can actually pull up the map. This is kind of hilarious. Thinking back on it, it reminds me of how I met the Nobel Peace Prize winner affiliate person, which is just by like happenstance. I didn't actually meet Jordan Peterson, but I sold this search engine to him during this period when I was living in not Pennsylvania. Where was I living? In New York. No, I was living in Colorado. I have land in Colorado, actually, that I need to go build on. But I was like somewhere downtown Colorado. I think it's difficult for me to remember exactly everything in Colorado. You know how it is in Colorado. No, I think it was like 18th Street or something. I know the exact spot. The Paramount Theater, I think. Let's go take a look at the Paramount Theater. Okay, so I think I was on Glenarm, California, Trenton Court, Glenarm. Yeah, so I was on Glenarm and 17th. So this was my street corner here, and I was living in a condo here. Okay. So this was my condo at 475, I think. Or maybe it was, let me try to reposition myself. It wasn't 475, that was the view from the condo. So I was at a condo, let's see, is this it? Yeah, right here. Midland Lofts, this is my, so up here, okay. And then I was doing a business, so I had left New York after being homeless and living in Alexis Ohanian's cousin's robotics factory. I got money and then I left and started traveling the US. And I had built the search engine for Jordan B. Peterson for YouTubers when I was homeless. And then I was traveling around the US and I was living in this loft. And that's when I was in this loft when the deal for the Jordan B. Peterson search engine came through. And the crazy thing that happened is that there is a theater literally across the street. Like literally on this street, we saw it, I think. Trying to remember because I could see it out basically out my window. There's like somewhere on this block there's the Paramount Theater right there. Okay, so the Paramount Theater. So I was in this building doing a business deal to try to get Jordan B. Peterson to buy my search engine, basically. And some people who were using the app put the product through to Jordan B. Peterson's son, which is how they figured it out. But while I was doing this deal, Jordan B. Peterson had an event literally here. He was here while I was... No, not here. Was it? Yeah, it was here. While I was doing the deal. And I was like, this is fucking nuts. Like, what type of crazy-ass coincidence is this shit? But as I start to meditate more, I realize that coincidences are just like, you can actually upregulate them. Like, that's what prayer is. Like, that's what manifestation is. You just like, I think, maybe, I don't know. But like, I don't know. It was pretty trippy to have that coincidence happen. As I was doing the deal, he like shows up literally a block away. Like, I could have done the deal in person, basically. Although I was going through his son, I could have told his son, by the way, I'm going to be I live literally a block away from one of your venues. Just, we can handshake the deal. I didn't do that. I was kind of dumb back then. Kind of stupid back then. Or stupider. That's it. But in honor of, I guess, that event, I will keep a map of Denver, Colorado open. I own land here south of Pueblo. It's a bit remote. In Colorado City, actually. That's where. It's got decent land, though. Is that Colorado City? I don't think that's Come on, that's not. Now, Colorado City is like sort of in the desert, and you have mountains like to the west, but it doesn't have snow peaks like that. It's close to snow peaks, I guess. Denver. My Zoom is messed up. What is going on? Okay, dropping into Denver. Dropping into... I think I'm probably going to try to turn off the labels here. That's the best. What? I said turn off labels and it kept labels up. Are you going to like continue to show ads or something, or what's going on? It's like, here's some ads that you would like. And I'm like, no, I don't. I think I want to see these buildings. Release my apartment today. Let's say that's Glenarm, so I'll just drop something down here. Oh, that's the Midland Walsh right there. Okay. Yeah, I'll just keep this up. Okay, so HackMatrix actually just means I get hacked or bugged to death by a flashing ROFI menu, I think is what that is, or WOFI menu. Seizure warning and Gentoo or whatever. Let's take a look at chat. See what chat has to say. Will this be on the AUR? Probably not. Let's take a look at the viewership numbers. Alright. Let's go. Yo, I'm making a Debian Linux, this person says. And in the config, there's a desktop option in that there's your desktop. Okay. I think the Wayland version isn't like super stable as a desktop, but I use it as my regular desktop, so yeah, maybe try it out. Okay, I think I'm gonna bring the volume back. This is still about New York, I believe. Yeah.
All around it, it still has enough sort of breathing room that it can be ensured that it will never be totally blocked off.
The flagpole bases are really some of the great bronze sculptures outside in New York.
New York's an incredible city. It's one of my favorites. If it didn't cost so much. Just kidding. Cost has never been a problem for me about, like, in cities. Mostly it's about my time utilization. So if the cost prevents me from utilizing my time freely, but pretty much cost of living anywhere has done that. So I think things are changing for me where the finances are like starting to break through, and I'll be able to live pretty much anywhere I want without having a job, which is sort of the ideal. I do like how they put Roman numerals for dates all over the buildings
When it was finished, the cost
in New York.
of the building was $9 million, which would be a lot more in present day time. The exterior was finished in 1906.
I think something that the United States does incredibly well are public libraries. I think they're one of the greatest things that the United States has implemented, partially in thanks to Benjamin Franklin and our founders.
Designed to feel imposing, important, but also long-lasting. Like this institution will always be here.
Yep.
The main building was renamed in 2008.
Okay, so that's the Bryant Park one. I actually have a pretty cool picture. I'm not sure if I can find it. But of me with a Ubuntu laptop, or rather a MacBook with Ubuntu installed on it, sitting in Bryant Park. I actually slept on that field the first few days, or like one of the first few days, because I was like so sleep deprived from not having a place to sleep. I just like, all right, I'm going to sleep on the lawn. This is a great library here, though. I was able to get a library card without even having an apartment in New York, which is hilarious. I just gave them my shelter. I was like, I'm staying at the shelter, and they're like, okay, we can give you a card. I'm like, yeah, you can. I collect library cards, though. You have to keep a house in order to renew them. So I was able to get a library card in DC with an Airbnb address, though. It just, I don't know if they check the date of it, like that I'm there for multiple months.
And yet it's an oasis that's inviting. The idea of going in and just relaxing and reading, it's just so attractive.
I love this park. This whole block is like incredible. I think I've gone there pretty much every time I've gone to New York, actually, that specific area. The second time I went to New York after my homeless experience, I stayed at the Bryant Park Hotel, which I told myself I would stay at when I was sleeping on the lawn, basically. I was looking up, I don't know, maybe I saw the building or something, and I was like, when I get money to pay for this, I'm going to go and stay at this hotel, and I did that. That was kind of fun. That's a goofy building. That's like in Soho, I think. Oh, no, Upper East Side. I'm kind of a New York retard, by the way. New Yorkers, like real New Yorkers, are like, this guy's a fool when I speak about New York. There's a lot to know about the city.
Before the 1890s, they were all centered south or south. So it really wasn't until 1895 when Caroline Astor moved to 65th and 5th Avenue that it became acceptable for the old money New York classes to live this far out.
Old money.
We're at the
There's so
corner
many types of old
79th
money.
Street and Fifth Avenue. The building behind us, which is currently the
Old money is very diverse, I
centerpiece
think.
of what was known as the Cook Block. When the Upper East Side became acceptable for people to live as far uptown as we currently are, there was a bit of a land rush where people started buying and developing parcels of land for the next big round of where the upper class will live. And the Cook Block is really kind of the most perfectly intact example of this, and what a lot of the Upper East Side was, which is single-family houses that were developed and built as residences for their owners as they were moving further and further uptown. And you can see it's a very eclectic group of styles. The Ukrainian Institute is a French chateauesque building. Architect was T.P.H. Gilbert. There's a lot of these kind of revivalist-style buildings both here and
Yeah, getting
Brooklyn.
like rich ethnic communities to like implement their peak architecture of their ethnic, you know, background in your city is actually kind of based. Like it's pretty based.
They're really drawing from French medieval and religious ecclesiastical architecture,
Oh, that's cool.
but translating them into a residential building. But the rest of this block has other examples of Jacobean style, Beaux-Arts, so it's really the greatest hits of what people were building for upper class residences at the turn of the 19th century. Right now we're from 998 Fifth Avenue. So this is really one of the most important communal apartment buildings that we made the Upper East Side. When this was developed, it was around 1910.
It's crazy that like rich and famous people will live in a condo, just like an apartment building, basically.
Very large, very grand building, but the whole notion of someone owning a house in an apartment building was kind of not done. This was a first experiment with A, attracting upper class buyers, and B, getting homeowners and urban dwellers to buy off into the idea of living in a communal building as opposed to a single family house. The architects of this, McKinsey and White, were kind of the masters of reusing historic forms. This is essentially a giant Renaissance plaza stretched up to gargantuan scale. And you can see in order to calm the scale of taking something that was originally much smaller and blowing it up to 3 times its size, they combined elements. The base of the building,
I imagine there's probably a lot of chat.
culminated, which are the
Or at least some chat. Let's see. No chat.
It's 3 stories tall as opposed to
No
the
chat.
cornices are turned into entire floors, such as the cartouche level and the level with the marble band, and then the top, which would be a cornice level. So they're kind of smartly taking the elements of a much smaller building and turning them into entire floors to help calm and balance the composition of the building's form. Now, inside of this building, it's actually quite interesting because the apartments themselves they're really mansions in the sky. If you think about a range scale of a house in a rectangle with multi-floor apartments.
Yeah, if you own a single one of those buildings, you would. Could you imagine?
Almost like a work of Jenga, trying to fit the pieces together. And McKinsey and White masterfully did that. You don't even notice if there's a double height or duplex apartment. Everything looks very even. It's very kind of calm and proper.
That's a multifamily, I think, or a multi-rich person.
This actually predates the large additions to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. McKinsey and White did this in 1910, and their late additions to the Met Museum and the left and right wings were actually after this. So this was the pioneer, and the museum kind of grew up around it.
Maybe I should paint something on the
So
wall
right
here.
now we're outside of the Metropolitan Museum of Art on Fifth Avenue. We look at the building, we kind of see this grand Beaux-Arts.
I think I want to paint some green.
Within the building, way very inside, is a much smaller, more high Victorian Gothic building that.
So if you can see my mouse, you can probably see it in the arch. I'm going to bring it down to the art, and you can see at the top here with the yellow. I'm probably going to paint some green up there.
It's also showing a bit of the problematic nature of preservation, and particularly in a stone building, gravity really doesn't like stone, and as things deteriorate, particularly a limestone building like this that can't really survive a lot of the soft cycles, you end up having to put netting as a way for a building series. So it's interesting to think that the same architects who are working on this were working on the same apartment buildings that we've been looking at throughout the neighborhood. So these architects, as the questions grown, people really didn't specialize in being a museum architect or an apartment architect. You were really an architect and take on a bunch of technologies. Right now, we are on Park Avenue near 67th Street in front of the Park Avenue Armory. So the Park Avenue Armory is a survivor from the pre-electrification of the Park Avenue rail line, essentially a military building where the 7th Regiment,
I'm not right-handed, but maybe I'll just use my right hand for this.
silk stocking regiments.
Okay, so I think I
people who
want to
served in the
sort of...
military who were from slightly fancier background. It's kind of a high Victorian Gothic fantasy on the castle. Polychrome. It is
I want to emulate the purple.
Had a much taller tower in the center.
There's a little
which
photo
survived.
doc.
What's most notable about the building
Purple is...
interiors, because this was the neighborhood moving up to Tiffany and some very well-heeled
here as well.
their meeting rooms are incredibly awesome, and these continue to this day. If you go there for an event, they're very organized club rooms for the people who use the building, in addition to the massive grill hall, which is still used. The language of the building really proclaims its military use. Particularly if you look at the top of the building, there's these core bells that can poke out. It almost looks like the rampart on the top of the castle. And if you look at the bottom of the building, it's the same sort of fortified, do not mess with me sort of language. The walls get wider and thicker. There's almost a perceived moat around it. So it really doesn't project a whole lot of welcomeness. It projects solidity and strength. And just like Park Avenue went from being a rail yard to this upscale residential corridor, this building has gone from being something really above the military to an art center. We're on the corner of 76 and Madison outside of Carlisle. So the Carlisle is really important to the Upper East Side. It's really the social heart of this neighborhood. It's also a really interesting moment in the acceptance of a hotel as an acceptable living environment. This building may operate as a hotel, but it's a combination of long-term co-op living and hotel rooms. So for someone who doesn't,
I think it would be cool to live in a hotel. I seem like the type of person that would actually thrive in a hotel.
In terms of its
Like
built
Sweet
form,
Life
this
and
building is also
Zack
really
and Cody
fascinating in that it almost
style
comes with
hotel life.
encapsulation of what happened after the
I'd be very good at.
1916 zoning code, which
Sometimes,
what a New York Sky
sometimes when I live in a city, I will move to, or I'll move into a hotel for a few days that's close by just to do some work. So if I could actually live, I mean, I've lived in Airbnbs, it's basically the same thing as living sort of in a hotel. At least as far as the time, like, movement and such is concerned.
The detailing and the hallmarks of Art Deco style, see in the parapets, there's chevrons.
I've never had, like,
very abstract,
room service full time, basically.
high-tech shapes.
Although I have,
materials such as
there's a building called the Bond Building in Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, which is basically a hotel.
Modern tall building type.
I think that's probably the closest thing I had.
So now we're outside of the Duke Mansion on the corner of East 78th Street and Fifth Avenue. The Duke Mansion is a Louis XV kind of severely neoclassical house. It actually replaced Victorian houses existing here for only 26 years. So the people who built this, the Dukes, were really trying to make it. And the safest they decided to make was one of relevance. And by taking this royal style, the Trianon, brought to Fifth Avenue, they're really trying to legitimize themselves and their wealth, which maybe wasn't as old money or as rooted into some of their neighbors. This is really a house that was designed for entertaining. If you watch The Gilded Age, this house is essentially the Russell's house. It's a place to make a statement, to show you arrived in New York and New York society. And what other way to do that than to build essentially a royal palace? One of the major motifs of a palace in this style, which is aspiring to be, is a bel étage, which is a room for entertainment. Usually if you're in France, it's up a level, because the street is for animals, it's for business. Because here we don't have that. It's slightly lower, and the residential neighborhood, and so the entertaining floor is brought a little bit low. And one of the nice things that happens here is that you can actually see into the room, see the gilding on the ceiling of the ballroom. So there's a little bit of public display by lowering that and putting a little bit of the, the interior wealth on display, almost like a jewel box. The scale of this building is really almost civic. When you think about it, a public building or a public display of wealth, it kind of makes sense. This Louis XV style, as opposed to some of the more flamboyant Gothic and Revival styles on the block, it's very restrained, it's very severe. The ornament is actually quite minimal. There are some garlands, there are some panels, but as opposed to huge sculptural groups and large band courses, it's actually quite plain. The limestone is kind of plainly dressed. There's not a lot of rustication. In that restraint, there's a little bit of a game.
Okay, I think the remainder of the paint is going to remain on my laptop. Or this isn't the streaming laptop, but the low resources test laptop, basically. Okay, I'm going to throw that
Clearly, in terms of style,
brush into
it's
the
been on
water.
place for what we've seen in the Upper East Side. Brutal and filthy, very aggressive form. Steps out
So
over
I added
the
some
sidewalk.
more, while doing that I added some more green over to the edge over there. You can see that it's still, it's a different color, it's still waiting to dry.
Something totally different than
It's kind of difficult to see exactly what this painting's doing.
townhouses and hotels.
By that I mean it's not, it's kind of chaos. But I am trying to keep a sort of color gradient, so I'll probably put some purple up here somewhere, like maybe there. Maybe it's a good spot. It's actually a good idea.
But it's not totally without context. Most buildings
And so I'll add some purple up here as well. Although this already has so much purple, I'm not sure I want to do that. I can put purple and the yellow up here. I think that's what I want to do. The purple should predominate at the top.
But if you see the cornice line of the houses in the south, is more or less carried over. So there's a
Okay, so I'm probably going to just leave that stripe there and paint the purple there.
It's definitely trying
I
to
think
stand
I'll
out,
let that drip there.
so by responding to and rejecting the rules of the
Let's
game,
see.
the neighborhood that surrounds it. It's
I
also
think this
responding
is a
to
good
the
brush for this.
interior
So
layout and its use, which is something
turn
that
and then
in a lot
pop
of
this
the
up.
apartment buildings don't really see using the facade.
I do also have this light,
complicated nature of
which
the
might
interior
help.
plan. Here is the
Let's
wiki
step
gallery.
through.
You can see the main floor of the gallery.
This is not.
And the windows give little glimpses.
There we
Art
go.
doesn't really like direct light, so it's doing it in a very minimal way that makes the interaction
Alright,
with
so
the public interiority of the gallery.
we're adding purple to the internal of the
The
yellow.
wiki, as it was built here in,
What we're
in
doing.
1968, almost became a victim of its own success. It was so popular that it needed to expand, and the building being so sculptural and also an historic district made that actually impossible. There are a lot of proposals thrown around, but including expanding where the townhouses to the right are, but simply it couldn't be done. They ended up moving off-site. And one of the ironies of the building being a victim of its historic district is that it itself is now considered an historic building. It really can't be modified. What we have here is triumph of preservation over everything else. Right now we are in front of 740 Park Avenue.
Okay, I think it's actually
most
maybe
well-known
not something I
Upper East Side
probably don't want to.
building. What makes it really interesting, it exists on land that was originally not very well thought of.
Yeah.
Park Avenue, up until 1910, was a
I
railroad
know what I'm
yard.
doing with this here.
Coal fired,
It's really difficult to get this
French
purple
belching out
paint
fuel,
on the
and a
yellow.
lot of the houses around here were tenements. After the rail lines were electrified in 1910, the neighborhood was marketed as something totally other, and rather than a kind of downtrodden railroad yard, it was renamed Park Avenue and became a place where the ultra wealthy would start building these apartment houses, such as this one. It was designed by Rosario Candela.
That might be okay though.
Great co-op apartment building master, and his mastery was both in terms of planning and fitting these very complicated, sprawling, multi-layer apartments in a fairly sedate-looking container, but also riffing on the exteriors of these buildings in kind of light, somewhere between neoclassical and Art Deco style. Here, there's a beaded bottom to the base of the building. It's almost as if you took a column and its glutes and rolled it out onto a flat sheet of paper. It's almost a fun detail for something it's a pretty sedate building. There are other moments of kind of whimsy here. The dental moldings are a little bit fun. There are arches, there are bull noses. It's exuberant, but it's never doing too much or calling too much attention to itself. Whenever you're designing a tall building like this, it's really important to spend your money where it's going to get the most bang for your buck. So what Candela did here by putting the reading on the bottom of the floors, a lot of the resources that went into stone carving went where someone can touch it and interact with it. Whereas the detailing on the top of the building is larger and more scaled to seeing it
so I
from
think
1,000
this is
or
probably going to
2,000
require
feet
some
away. So
attention.
it's upscale. It's maybe not quite as fine in its green, but at the street level it reads almost as equal. There's a bit of visual perspectival correction on a tall building like this. When this building was built in 1930s, was a really significant change both in terms of this neighborhood, but also in the types of buildings. Park Avenue is really the last place where people built single-family houses in Manhattan. There are really only two on this street that were even built. By this point, most people were moving into these large luxury apartment buildings in the newly gentrified Park Avenue corridor.
Fifth Avenue in New York City. But what came before them, and how have New York City mansions evolved since they fell out of fashion? I'm Michael Weitzner. I've been an architect in New York City for over 35 years, and today we're going to be doing a walking tour of 200.
I think I'm almost done with this purple stuff. Purple painting. No.
So before European colonizers arrived here in the 1500s, the Lenape tribe called this island home for 12,000 years, and they named it Manhattan, which means Hilly Island, and that's exactly what it is. Where we're standing now is called Coogan's Bluff, one of the highest elevations in Manhattan. The views here were fantastic before tall buildings were common, and they're still pretty great. And that's why some of the wealthiest early European settlers chose to build their homes right here, including some people you might have heard of, like Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Not only rivals, but neighbors, as it turns out.
Just stop.
This Belgian block street we're walking on is Sylvan Terrace.
Use your insight voice.
Are the original townhouse built in 1882. As we walk along this street, we're walking back in time 260 years to the oldest existing mansion in Manhattan. This is the Morris Jumel Mansion. This house is built for Roger Morris, a colonel in the British Army in 1765. It was built as his country estate, and it was actually 11 miles north of New York City.
I got some green in the mix here on accident. That's really a good spot to
And one of the most
add here.
interesting things about it is that it appears to be made out of stone, but it's actually made out of wood.
I don't really
Some
want
of the
green
elements
paint in my
clearly
mix.
imaged in stone are the coins at the corners, the Doric column.
But if I continue to have green paint in the mix for this painting, then I'll probably stop and let the stuff on the laptop dry. Isn't quite exactly the way I want the laptop yet, though, so I'll continue painting on the wall until it looks like I want the laptop.
And those buildings were referencing ancient Greek architecture to project longevity and transgenerational wealth. But ironically, those ancient Greek buildings, which have lasted thousands of years because they were made of stone, were actually imitating wood buildings in the first place. In fact, ancient Greek architecture has been called a carpentry in marble. So this is a wood building imitating a stone building, which were originally imitating wood buildings. So above the columns on a Greek temple, you would typically see what's called a triglyph. Those are actually imitations of the ends of wood rafters and joists, which were used in earlier wood
Wait, really?
temples to support the roof. So this building is also interesting historically. It was actually George Washington's headquarters during the Battle of Harlem Heights
Bro,
in the
did you see that?
Revolutionary War. Strategically, this was an ideal location because it's the second highest point in Manhattan, and you could actually get a view from river to river. It would be purchased years later by a French wine merchant named
Okay, I think the paint is drying out on the laptop, so
his widow Eliza would marry
I
Aaron Burr,
will cease work on that.
and Aaron Burr, coincidentally, killed the owner of the next mansion we're going to
Lol. Wow, that has progressively gotten messier.
Alexander Hamilton in 1802. Sadly, he would only live here for 2 years.
I wonder if I can still see the
With Aaron Burr. It was built in the Federalist style.
what I call the field lines,
Also designed the lighthouse
which
at
are purple.
Montauk Point, Gracie
I may want to
Mansion,
emphasize them more,
while in office.
like a thicker brush.
City Hall.
I'll probably have to draw them
Because it's sort of the
again with like
unofficial style
pencil or
of
something.
the early United States. The Federalist style is sort of a stripped-down version of the Georgian style, which was developed by Robert Adams in England. Georgian buildings also imitated classical architecture. The Georgian style was, of course, named for all the kings named George. And so the fact that the Federalist style diverges from that has a nice parallel to the history of the United States. This is also a wood building, but an honest expression of wood, not imitating stone. And
I added some purple to the laptop there. It needs light. And God said, "Let there be light." And it was good.
That are somewhat hidden under these porches, like you might see on a residential Brooklyn street. There are some interesting things going on with the roof as well, which appears flat, but it's actually a sort of shallow version of a mansard roof.
Whoops.
There are 4 chimneys.
My tripod is messed up now.
Placed there just for symmetry's sake. This is not
Just
its
looking
original
at the
location.
sky.
In fact, its third
Look at
location,
it.
having moved twice.
The God
Originally,
source
this building was
up the sky.
On a 32-acre estate, just 1 mile south of the Mars Jamel Mansion, and had
Y,
been moved when the city grid of
X.
1811 expanded northward. And like the Mars Jamel Mansion, this was built on a high bluff, supported a beautiful view all the way out to Long Island Sound.
Linux distro.
Over my shoulder, you can see the Bailey Mansion. This was built for the Bailey half of the famous Barnum and Bailey circus, James Bailey. It has an engraving on the side of it in 1887, but it was actually completed a year later.
I think I probably should set this up on my bench here.
And it's considered Romanesque revival.
A Romanesque revival. It is considered. Alright, let me rotate this real quick. Back to the HackMatrix label there. And then I can think of what to do next.
Inside, the house is possibly even more impressive. Remember, this is 1888, but inside there was electric and gas lights. And unlike the first
there we go.
we saw, it was built with indoor plumbing.
So I would like to add a light.
Design the interiors, which are incredibly ornate, with extremely intricate woodwork in the screens and an
You could add a light to the side here so we can see some of the definition on this side. Uh-oh.
This house was built in the Gilded Age, but instead of being down on Fifth Avenue, it was built out here in the suburbs of Manhattan. When James Bailey moved here, he thought this would become the next fashionable neighborhood in Manhattan, but that never materialized.
This guy says, what distribution is it? I think he was talking about his, like, personal Debian Linux distro. I'm not sure if he said, like, maybe you're making an actual distro, but I think he's probably talking about just customizing his own. If you're asking about what this is HackMatrix, and I'm actually going to deploy a Linux distro soon. April 15th is when I drop the distro.
And actually, the first modernist building in Manhattan was his own house, to which this bears a striking resemblance. So the Kramers had seen his
That's
house,
pretty cool.
and they asked him to build one just like it.
Just
So
basic.
what is a modernist building? Well, it doesn't mean new, and it doesn't mean contemporary. It refers to a movement that began in the 1910s, also known as the International style. In architecture, modernism is a rejection of historical ornament, like you would see in a Greek revival. At the time the modernist movement began, Beaux-Arts was the prevailing aesthetic, which you would see in banks, museums, and office buildings. And the Beaux-Arts was very classical, very ornamented. Modernism, by contrast, was about
Yeah, I could see how
it prioritized functionality and
maybe capitalism or just modernity would have, like, corrupted ornamentation on buildings. Like, people probably just went crazy with it. And they're like, alright, enough. Look at my building, it has nothing. Get over it. It's just a plain building, is what they say. The thing about architecture is a lot of people can be, like, snooty about it. I personally like architecture, and I think there's good and bad examples of various styles. I think there is probably poorly inspired, maybe, movements. But I don't think you can just purely classify a whole movement as degenerate or whatever. Oh, you're a Victorian lover? Poh!
Steel-framed windows, glass blocks, curved enamel, metal panels, and stucco. So before, where we looked at these freestanding houses, now we're looking at a house that's part of the fabric of the city. It's part of the street wall, and it shares walls with its neighbors. While it's rejecting the historicism of the past, it still embraces the city around it. It's not a radical departure in terms of the way people live, because wealthy people had been living in townhouses for years. But it was a radical departure in the way
I think I'm going to make a coffee.
Behind me, you can see 23
I love Beekman.
designed by Paul Rudolph. Paul Rudolph
Sorry, I have to go here. Beekman is such a small street, and I love the street.
in the Bronx, Endo Laboratories in Garden City on Long Island, and the Yale Art and Architecture Building. This building takes standing out to a whole other level. It was described as one of the most amazing pieces of urban, modern, domestic architecture in the entire country, according to Michael Sorkin, the great architect and critic.
I would like to stay at the Beekman Hotel at some point.
Himself said it was worth taking risks to create architecture that provoked strong reactions. In a way, he was trying to redefine space by maximizing natural light and openness. He made his penthouse extension on the roof, made of precast concrete.
Oh, that's space. That's cool.
Glass, and it created wonderful outdoor spaces.
Oh, that's amazing.
Gardens as part of that. It takes free plans to a whole other level. There were very few interior walls. Instead, it's a series of balconies, one looking over the other.
Whoa.
There are actually 27 different floor levels in the penthouse triplex, and he also used mirror finishes and transparent materials throughout to break down how the space is defined and
Whoa.
further enhance the visual aesthetic of
I love it.
the natural light.
That's
So it makes it
fantastic.
harder to discern the limits of the space.
Dude, I wonder how many buildings like that are in New York.
The other one ends, almost giving it a feeling of endlessness.
Bro, that's like the 2000s era, whatever that vibe was.
On the lower floors of the building.
Whatever that meme vibe is.
A unique and beautiful expression of penthouse living in New York City, which is maybe why Sorkin called him the best designer of his generation.
I love Beekman though, like I said. I don't usually see that side.
Fire Mansion at 176.
Oh, this is Upper East Side.
And this was a
It's the
mansion
wrong
that was built
Beekman.
at the end of the 20th century. From what I understand, the site was
I know nothing about this part of New York.
available, and now they had a double wide lot to build on. Typically in a row house, light is an issue because you have buildings on either side. You can only get light in the front or the back. But in this case, because they have a double
Oh, I
wide
like those
lot,
trees too.
you
New York
need
trees are
a
amazing.
lot more glass to bring in a lot more natural light. But it appears the architects decided it might be too much light and added this expansive limestone for privacy. And actually what I find most interesting about this building is its use of material, in that it references the modernist movement with this metal and glass, but also harkens back to more classical architecture in its use of
Architecture.
So the metal and glass facade is very reminiscent of a Mies van der Rohe design. But on closer inspection, you see that it's not a regular grid like Mies favors, but in fact more closely resembles the composition of a Mondrian painting, which is fitting because the owners of this home were actually known art enthusiasts. And the limestone harkens back to both classical architecture and the city itself. Along with brick, limestone was really the traditional building material of New York. So by adding this limestone piece, it gives it a sense of history and also a sense of warmth that feels more domestic, but in an elevated way that lets you know a rich person lives here. Even though it is this traditional material, the combination
Oh, look at that tiny row house there.
very referential to
It's like a brownstone house.
One last note about this building that I really like is this north-facing skylight.
Actually, the hilarious thing about me is I'm totally an amateur, like, how do I say this? Amateur, like, architecture guru, not guru, enthusiast, let's say. I'm enthusiastic about architecture, but I know, like, nothing in comparison to, like, an expert or a architecture snob. So I'll say what I think things are, and they're highly likely to be wrong, and that's how I learn, at least in architecture. I'm an enthusiast of architecture.
So at the end of the 20th century, with the buildings we just looked at, you can see
Oh, that's
evolution.
cool.
So we started out with
That's very
country houses,
German or
offices,
something.
and then they became more woven into the fabric of the city. And
I think we're going to binge consume, I think this is legal on streams. I am going to binge consume architecture videos here. NYC Bright Buildings. Let's take a look at this. I'm not sure if those are bright. Okay, NYC Architecture Bright Buildings. There should be a YouTube just for architects. Let's see. How abandoned railroads became one of... Okay. I mean, this is cool. This is basic New York lore. Yo, that's so sick. Look at those. There's not another city in the United States that has architecture like that.
This is the Highline Park in New York City's Meatpacking District. This is a neighborhood that got its name from the industry that it once served, which provided...
Well, let's take a look at chat. Okay, let's go back.
It also had a lot of railroad traffic that originally was at the same level as the city, which turned out to be quite dangerous. Back in the 1800s, early 1900s, this area was known as Death Avenue, and several
Death Avenue.
lost their lives due to collisions with trains. Because of this dangerous situation, the city eventually built an elevated rail line to permit the
Oh, that's cool.
scale of industrial production to coexist with the sea-level activity of an active.
I hate how the crystals block the other hacker's face there.
After its decline as an industrial neighborhood in the
There we go, now we can see his face.
this neighborhood searched for a new identity. The redevelopment of the Highline from an abandoned rail line to a vibrant green space catalyzed more development in the last 15 years in this part of New York City than anywhere else. It's really a unique situation. You have
This is the Hudson Yards area, sort of.
designed by star architects in one area, and without the Highline, none of these buildings would have been built. Behind me is the Chelsea Market. So if we take a bit of a trip back into history, the reason why the Highline as a rail line existed was because of a building like this. This was a Nabisco factory. And so because this was an industrial district,
Nabisco.
in its current form, a lot of the buildings around here would have been similar to this. Multi-level industrial warehouse buildings connected to the Highline and connected the goods being made in this building into the rail system in the country. You can see there are these sky bridges that connect horizontally from site to site.
St. Louis has sky bridges like that as well. I mean, I think a lot of cities do, but I saw it notably in St. Louis.
And relics that were left really contributed to its decline further and further. And it took the redevelopment of places like the Chelsea Market and the Highline itself to really kind of bring people back and take what had been a bit of an urban liability and turn it into an asset. In terms of the redevelopment of the Chelsea Market, it was a bit of a pioneer. It was one of the first projects in the country that kind of took advantage of these disused industrial sites and turned them into...
I have a theory that at some point all of the sidewalks are going to become raised like the Highline, and that there's going to be like an undercity where the cars live and drive and such. So instead of like boring tunnels like you know, Elon Musk's company wants to do, you just build on top of it. You just build walkways on top. And I think the Highline sort of illustrates how that could work. Although the Highline obviously was a railroad beforehand. So if you can build a railroad in the sky, why not build a human road? An entire block of them, or an entire city of them.
Pop up again and again around the Highline. In the 15 years since the Highline opened in 2009, it's attracted a collection of buildings from the most famous architects practicing in the world. People like Frank Gehry, Jean Nouvel, G.D. Gay, Pierre Roubaud. It's almost like a collection of designer clothes in a fancy department store. It's a phenomenon that's really unique to New York City to have this level of famous architects working in one area, and it's all enabled by this very famous, very public space, the Highline, that catalyzed all these luxury developments. These buildings are really about brand, and they're about premium products.
Okay, we don't have civilization, so let's copy it.
From New York and globally. Think about a building like 520 West 28, which is an apartment building, and this very public element, aspect of people taking pictures of your building while you're
not sure I want this to continue. Oh, I love that building. You can see that building from the West Side Highway Greenway. Oh, I'm up here. Okay. Source then bin activate. Scripts. Python entity 3. Quit. Okay, so we have Yang and engineering, and I'm going to add a new model, and then we have to make sure that I reset the stream and don't crash it, because I don't want the ship and the gear and all the stuff that I created here to disappear at the moment. I don't have a way to save from this like to back up the database from this TUI, so I have to make sure that HackMatrix doesn't crash in order for this stuff to save. So at some point I'm going to have to, like I said, restart the stream, or restart HackMatrix, which will keep the stream alive, but will sort of restart all the windows here. Which means this composition that I have, which I kind of like, I spent some time on it, but I guess I'll remake it. This will have to disappear. And then whatever this glitch is, which is actually kind of punk, is also going to disappear, because I don't know how to recreate that. That's weird. Okay, so let's create a new entity, and let's add a positionable for it. And we can change the scale to 1.1 just to make sure that the positionable gets written. Then we can go back out and then add a model. And the model okay, that's fine, is home colon Kuber logos vox civilization .oj. And in comes, what is this? Okay, so I either didn't upload the correct file. So this is the old temple, which had a full complex. It was modeled after the Roman sort of forum or something. But I think it needs the color file, and I'm not sure if we have that. So let's take a look. So let's look at civilization. So you see there's material, object, PNG, civilization, material. Oh, okay, there it is. So we need this. So I will deselect all, and then highlight that, and then download it. Okay, and so we can go back to the entity TUI and close this, and then copy the civilization.png, which is the actual color textures, or it's the color mapping for the object. Kuber logos box is where that lives. Okay, and so now all we have to do is reopen the entity TUI, go to the bottom, go to this, let's get it to try to open something, and then home colon Kuber logos vox civilization, and that now should be colored. And it is. There's our mini temple. Is this a temple for ants? Okay, let's put this maybe 40 back, and then let's see where that is. I actually kind of like that back wall there. 50? Does it disappear at 50? How about 60? Okay, so negative 60. Okay, it got out of the light, so let's do negative 50. Okay, now let's make it 3, 4, let's make it 5 times its size. Okay, let's make it 10 times the size. Oh my gosh, it's a little too towering. Let's make it 8 times the size. How do I feel about that? Let's go check it out. Let's see what's going on over here. Oh my gosh. As they say, Rome was not built in a day. So this temple is massive, and this one is like, the stairs are, it's difficult to judge what this temple is like, what it's for and such, because its scale is weird. Its stairs are like meant for gods relative to the temple stairs. Like if these were meant for humans, then these are huge and meant for gods. So, who knows? But I think this is probably the appropriate scale. I think I might even make it bigger, just to emphasize. Although it is going to maybe interfere with the grass. So I think I need to move it more to the right. Let's do that. Move it more to the right. So that will be like maybe 10. Probably move it even farther. I'll probably sort of bury it underground. It's got this thing too. So that thing, like I don't want it to block the stairs. Like that's going to be kind of weird. I wish I could invert it, like put that brown box on the other side. I guess I could rotate it. I sort of like it like this though, so I'm going to go ahead and sync it now. So that would be like negative 4 maybe. I think I want to go negative 6. Let's take a look at that. Okay, here's something. If I sync it, what if it's a mystery? Ah, perfect. Perfect. Here, I have uncovered a mystery that we can add to HackMatrix, which apparently mystery is a component of the game design here. The mystery is that these stairs are human-sized, and these stairs, if they are human-sized, what size are these? They're made for beings that should not exist in this world. And that is laziness converted into a feature, aka plot mystery. So okay, so it's sort of underground. I'm not sure if it's underground enough. I do kind of like where that's at. It does look kind of strange to have that brown box there. So let's continue to bury it. Negative 8. Let's see what that does. Okay, still a step. At what point does the thing just become like a... excuse me. It's like a building in the ground. It needs to be buried that much. Negative 10. I like a digit. Ooh, that's cool. It's kind of weird. Let's try 9. Perfect square. Negative 9. Negative square. 9 feels cool because it feels like it used to be a practical temple, and then somehow like rock started growing. Maybe, how did rock get inside? How did rock and moss start growing inside the temple? That is an example of mystery. Maybe the game will tell you at some point how that happened. Probably not. It has been swallowed by the earth. I actually don't like that aesthetic. So maybe I can, let's see what we have to work with here. So I think I would like to see how far I can back this up. I wonder if I can back it up such that this brown thing becomes a gate to the key door. So that would be a backup of like 20 maybe. -70. Oh, that's cool. Look at the lighting on it too. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, now I will raise it from the earth. What's a god of earth? Greek god of earth. Raise it from the earth up into 6. Oops. We need a full gate. The men must be able to access the door. Oh, that's cool. It's actually a proper gate. For a thing. Raise it to 4. Another. Well, it's flying now. The temple is somehow flying. Now we raise it to -4. Okay. So can the hacker pass underneath that doorway? Raise it to 3. Raise it to -3. Ah, yes. You can see the rectangular pediment in which the monument stands. So it looks like for -2.9 or 8. Okay, I like this. I think this is good. Okay, so like I said, in order to retain the ship and the gear and the other temple that just got brought in, I need to restart the stream in such a way, or I need to restart HackMatrix, which means I need to restart the stream. So that is what I'm going to do. But the stream isn't going to die. I'm just going to kill the streaming process. So you should just see it lag for a bit, and then it should come back if I can start it in time. So adios, I'll see you. And we are back. And I like the sort of environment we have created here now. I am ready to set sail into the other parts of this world. Speaking of which, we are here. But technically, we are not here. We are at the edge of a bay. So, this grass here actually doesn't exist. It opens up into a bay up here. Which can go, it opens up into a bay, and that bay sort of moves in this direction on the map, around and then up and out. Northwards is like an infinite sea or space or something. Maybe the edge of the map. That is actually the edge of the map. So that would be up here, and to the right the bay goes, and the bay continues out this way, and then sort of there'll be, in this direction, there'll be sort of like a small island in the distance, and the bay will go up and around the island, up and around the island, around the, where's the cave orientation? So over here there'll be like the tip of the northern tip of the HackMatrix city of Uptown. And there'll be a big bay on the other side of the peninsula island thing over here. And that is all spoken according to the art. That is all designed. Let's go to the stream, USB, stream, USB webcam. Oh gosh. Okay, perfect. So like I said, I'll just compose a decent shot here of the direction I'm talking about. And I can move the camera, the webcam itself, to show you. Okay, so this is the cave. Okay. And you can see it says cave. On the northern part of the cave, which is what this is, there are sailboats. And the sailboats go in the direction that we are currently facing in the 3D world. It goes out. This is the island I'm talking about. It's a bit difficult to see, but all of the stuff with non-white chipped paint. Let's see. Everything that's non-white chipped paint is a city. It's a city grid. And it has this sort of Seattle-like sound peninsula thing that creates a sort of strange bay shape. And so the ship's in the sea. Speaking of which, there's a ship. There's a sailboat. It's facing the wrong direction. But the ships in the bay sail out of the peninsula, up and around into this sort of storm of whatever this is, and then around the top of the HackMatrix city. And so that's sort of this is the very tip of the city on the HackMatrix map. And so if we were to determine the direction of where that is relative to where we are standing, with this being the cave, this card being the cave. Oh, sorry, Zeus. I accidentally almost stepped on my dog. So, with this card in gold, with this card with the black on it, that white envelope thing, that being the cave on the map, that the tip of the city will be this direction, over that way. So there'll be giant buildings and such over there. Well, I'm not sure what Uptown is going to be like right now. Although I think I want this city to sort of feel more like New York than some other place. I like New York vibe, dense city vibe. We have multiple temples in the game now. We are vibe maxing. We are asset maxing. Oh, I need to open up chat again. And also my sort of composition for just letting the chat or just letting the stream chill is gone now. I can't just turn on a video and watch it with all of the cool background processes and such.
This elevated green space leads to dozens of buildings by some of the world's most famous architects. But none of this would exist if it weren't for hundreds of
So what did that just launch?
2 centuries ago. I'm Nick Fox, I'm an architect, and today we're doing a walk tour of the High Line in New York City.
Where are all these chromium windows coming from?
This is the High Line Park to buyers both from New York and globally. You think about a building like 520 West 28th, which is an apartment building, and this very public element, this aspect of people taking pictures of the
Okay,
building.
so I think I can close this, go here, and tell it to sleep 10. Let's go.
So like a lot of designer goods, there's almost an aspect of look but don't touch with this. None of the buildings on the High Line can be entered from the High Line.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You're looking, you're interacting visually, but you're physically...
I've never tried to go into a building on the High Line myself.
None of them touch. You don't have doors going onto the High Line.
Oh, this is a Fey. I think I can, oh, no, that's actually an M player, never mind. I thought I could zoom on that, but I couldn't. Okay, it's time to do some art. What color shall I use? I actually kind of want to use white now. The reason for that is there's a lot of color, and I want to erase some of the color. I think it'll be nice to erase some of the color. Especially down here. So let's use some white, maybe define some space down here. A gate or something, I'm not sure. That can be a bay or a harbor or something. Actually, I think I want to try to draw that from just where I'm sitting right now. Should be able to do that. And I will actually use white. I think I'll probably draw on my goal notebook while I do this.
As the most public building on the High Line, it's interesting to think that it's also one of the most unapproachable, and it would have made sense to be a little bit more public facing, a little bit more welcoming.
Okay, so you can see that I put dabs of white on my notebook, which is painted purple. Partially it's green, but it's partially painted purple. So I'm going to use a thin white brush, and I'm going to sort of define some space here. But I'm not exactly sure how I'll do this. So maybe let's just do a vertical line here.
Connected back into the train network. If you think back to the origins of this place, everything behind me was originally essentially a parking lot for trains, ringed by a ramp that brought the trains that ran on the High Line up a level to separate them from the street grid. At Hudson Yards, they were able to raise the ground plane up to the level of the High
I'm
Line.
not a huge fan of this brush. I think I would have more control if I used another brush.
Into the new shopping center, into the new public plaza.
I'll continue to use this. It does create a sort of sharp top line here.
Essentially have taken on that role through this direct connection from the raised level of the High Line to the raised level of Hudson Yards. You think about that.
I think it might be a good idea to take a colored pencil, and maybe I can get a white one. There is in fact a white color pencil. See if it draws well on this. Probably, sometimes it doesn't. Does it draw well? Ah, yes, it does. So let's just sort of sketch out the box that we want. Things I think are fine with going down this, and maybe like this, kind of down like that, and probably fine with something like this, and then maybe that, and maybe I can follow. I can follow, let's say, just through this purple color. So there's like a purple outline that way, so I'll follow through that as well.
When New York City first started, the main city was really centered around Wall Street. It's where people lived and it's where people worked. This was farmland and far hinterlands. Because it was outside of the city, this is where things that weren't seen as desirable ended up, like Washington Square Park, which at one time was the Potter's Field, which was the cemetery where if you couldn't afford a proper burial, you would end up here. When this was redeveloped in the 1820s, essentially they were supposed to remove a lot of the bodies, but it's been estimated there are still 20,000 burials underground. Actually, when they built the arch, they discovered quite a few. So there's definitely another city underneath that we're not really aware of in the current incarnation. So this existed right around the same time that the Commissioner's Plan laid out the street grid, which is why the streets don't quite align with the numbered streets and avenues that we currently think of, with the exception of Fifth Avenue, which is the centerpiece that shoots right to the arch. Essentially everything to the north of here was part of the Commissioner's Plan. The original idea of Washington Square Park when it was redeveloped away from being a cemetery was as a front yard for townhouse developments, such as the one on the right, which was built in the 1830s. When this was redeveloped and no townhouses were built, the upper classes felt comfortable moving up here. The arch itself is kind of interesting. It was originally built as a temporary arch out of plaster. It was another thing, and during the World's Fairs, a lot of the buildings were built out of this material, which is called staff, simply because it was quick, fast, and cheap. This one and quite a few World's Fair buildings in other cities that became permanent, they would have to rebuild out of marble. It was really rebuilt because it was popular. It became a rallying point in this a relatively newly established park as a focal point. It's also one of the only moments urbanistically in New York where we have a termination of the street, so it makes sense. So in comparison with the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe, we have our little Washington Square Arch. Right now we're on Washington Square North, right in front of one of the most important Greek Revival townhouse developments in New York. So the houses are almost perfect examples of Greek Revival style. You can see the columns, the porticos, the fences have Greek motifs such as keys and amphibians, which are the kind of flowery shapes on top of the fences. Everything here is natural. So it's really a remarkable achievement in preservation and how the city kind of kept these best buildings. When these were first built, they were really meant to be upper class residences, and the upper crust of society did live in these. Eventually a little bit more bohemian, artists would move in, but the fabric of the buildings is, at least for the street front, totally intact. So they were redeveloped in the 1930s by NYU, who was the majority landholder here, into an apartment building. But remarkably, even though there's essentially a whole new building behind them, you don't really see anything. That all happens behind the facade. What looks like a series of individual townhouses with their own front door, there's an apartment building that's accessed via side entrance on Fifth Avenue. So the stoops, the marble paving, the fences, they're all pretty much as they were in 1833, and really the only telltale sign is that the corner signs just slightly higher than seen in other floors. Right now we're on West 11th Street in Greenwich Village. So if you've spent a lot of time in the village, you probably realize there's not a lot of new buildings, and generally if there's a new building, there's a pretty good reason why. Case in point, the Weatherman House. In 1970, there was a bombing in this place by an anti-Vietnam War activist group. Hence that building no longer existed, and given the fact that the village is heavily landmarked, the conflict about what to build in its place became a really heated event. So the village was essentially based in Amber in the 1960s when it became...
Okay, I added some white to the painting, and also I added some white to it's really difficult to see the purple. It says HackMatrix on it. With a laptop, you can even see what distro it is. What distro is that? But it'll take some time. But I'm probably going to fill out everything that's not purple with white. I just don't want to waste or it's not waste. I just want to use the majority of the paint on the wall. So I'll sort of work on this one slowly.
What's really 1970s and postmodern about this is that it's playing around with shape and kind of taking the motifs of the historic architecture and almost making it a custom shape, like almost a jelly. So, the top of the building, you kind of cut off the top. That's the federal townhouse, but then the heart of the architect is twisted to the front, essentially to give the room more light. So it's playing around with the idea of what the federal townhouse in 1978, which is what this was built, looked like.
Okay, I am going to write my goals.
Right now we're on Westgate Street outside of the first home of the Whitney Museum of American Art. So this building is really an important moment in the change of Greenwich Village from a residential neighborhood for the well-off.
I'm going to do that down here.
So these three buildings were originally three Greek revival townhouses built in the 1830s. In the 1930s, Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney bought these and combined them into one single house and studio, and then in the late 1930s, they eventually became a museum. There's a studio in the back facing the Google Alley because she was an amateur artist. She wanted a place where she could make art and live amongst artists and still
live amongst artists.
Eventually, this became the Whitney Museum. It's the studio school, but you can still see the building as it is looks much as it did. What's interesting is that even though it looks like one building, it is still very clearly three separate townhouses. You can see the three bays in each, and it's unified on this pink stucco facade with the monumental, very Art Deco entrance with the eagle. So
alright, I'm going to write my goals. So
you see a lot of motifs of Art Deco styles, including you see abstracted, vaguely classical motifs, but everything is very kind of abstracted, softened, and almost sanded down. The original federal townhouses weren't perceived as being a contemporary or artistic aesthetic, and so you see these reshapings. But because this was in style in 1931, we got a 1931 style on what were 100-year-old buildings at the time.
Hesitant.
Right now we're on
L'hésitant.
6th Avenue in the park.
That's not even
So
a
in the
word.
1920s, there was a huge trend for bohemians to move into the village. The development of these buildings were trying to appeal to the creative class.
Is my pen? I think I see it up there.
1830s buildings into something new and contemporary, oftentimes using very kind of same traditional style. And the building behind me is a really great example of this. It's really stylistically somewhere between like a Union Steel European style, Deco, a little Flemish. It's just a whole lot. It's really there's nothing else that's fun. And a building like this, which was renovated in the 1920s, was really taking the ideas of someone named Frederick Sterner, who was renovating buildings around Gramercy Park in a similar sort of neo-Mediterranean European style. The windows that were used to you see a lot in Greenwich Village is studio windows. And you think about the narrow vertical slits of a Greek revival townhouse, really not conducive to painting. So even if these weren't fully marketed towards artists, the horizontal pane window projected studio creativity. Right now we're on the corner of Grove Street where it meets 7th Avenue. So this is one of these kind of amazing scars of Greenwich Village as it was being integrated into the street grid of New York City. And the building back to my left is kind of a perfect example of that. You can see where the 7th Avenue literally sliced off a corner of the building. They kept the front and kind of exposed the sign. 7th Avenue was sliced through the existing Greenwich Village fabric in the 1920s, primarily to run the independent subway underneath. But to do that, there was obviously a cost. And to this day, 7th Avenue doesn't quite have the same density or feeling of the rest of the village, frankly because there are these weird moments where you're looking at the backs and sides of buildings that have never been meant to be seen. They literally would just demolish a corner of the building and slap a corner of new facade on it. Thankfully, that one, probably the reason that building was preserved rather than torn down, is at the door where the stair is. The red brick on the left, that was the front of the building. It would have had 2 more windows like any other New York City fabric building. It's 3 bays wide. The more brownish brick on the right was never meant to be seen. It was a light court. That was a tenement building, so you can kind of see where the apartments had a light shaft. On most brick buildings, there's usually a facade brick on the facade side, which has a slightly higher level of finish, maybe a nicer glaze, maybe a prime spotty oven, versus the brick that's used on the back of the building, which is much more work a day, kind of raw clay without any additives or any kind of thought about it. You kind of understand the economics of a brick building where you don't want to spend money on things people don't see. Even though these moments are kind of awkward, it's really a great, almost like an X-ray snapshot to the workings of our city. Right now we're on the corner of Bedford Street and Commerce Street outside the oldest house in the village. So this is really a very classic late 18th century federal style. The detailing is incredibly simple. The lintels of the windows, rather than a very kind of carved expression, or frankly even a brick arch, they're a slab of stone. So it's a very kind of almost like rudimentary construction. It's simple. So that sort of brings that story. You see them in some of these federal style houses, and it's a very simple expression. You're not seeing a portico.
Discord's like, I have drawn this to express my dissatisfaction with paint, and it's like HackMatrix-esque hand flipping the middle finger, which I think is hilarious. Yeah, that island, that left island looks like 100% like the painting. That's funny. I see the resemblance. I walked into a hat shop in like around this neighborhood, and it was a business meeting in New York. I was living in sort of the border of Queens and Brooklyn at the time, and so I got a hotel in Manhattan for the business meeting. It was like a week business conference or whatever with my company. And so I'm in this town, basically, this Greenwich Village, the Village, Soho sort of area-ish. So I walk into this like hipster hat shop, and I look for a specific color of blue hat because it's the color of like my family clan, like Irish Scottish clan. So I found the color and got the hat, and the woman at the desk was like, "Are you an artist?" And I was like, at the time I was like, no. I was a software engineer.
I'm James Dixon. I'm a
Hi,
practicing
James
architect,
Dixon.
and today we're going to take an architectural walking tour of San Francisco.
No, thank you. Just kidding. San Francisco is okay. It's got some pretty cool buildings, and I would like to see more of them in San Francisco. In this film.
You know you've arrived in San Francisco when you see the Transamerica Pyramid. One of the reasons is raison d'etre for its shape, which is you can see all the way through.
It is a cool city.
That was an important distinction that the person who commissioned the building was the CEO of Transamerica Corporation said, I want more light onto the street, and the city said we want more vantage points to downtown. So that shape reconciles those two desires to a remarkable degree. And you'll see at either side of the pyramid shape there are two concrete shafts. One is the elevator core, the other is a stairway shaft with the smoke shaft. That's
Whoa.
But they work very well with the pyramid shape. The building terminates the long axis of Columbus. Columbus goes all the way through North Beach, the
Might have to ban that guy.
Chinatown, into the financial district. As an architectural quibble, the way the building meets the sky was given much more attention than the way the building meets the street. You'll see how they had to resolve the inclined face of the building with windows that don't want to be inclined. No one wants to feel like the building's falling on them. So the way they resolved that was with a series of concrete forms, and the window frames are offset from one another with the one above it, so that when the building horizontally meets the inclined edge.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can import from the S3. I don't think there's anything. If I didn't back up the sort of monk center, it's just a small like meditation center, interior like furniture thing. Then I don't think there's anything else that I can import. I guess there was some rock facing. So when you go sailing to leave the cave, it would be weird for there to just be like a cave-like building that's got, you know, just fully square cube sides. So I used some sort of like exterior facing called I think just rock face. So I can use the rock face to sort of enclose just some of this volume around the river or the lake or whatever this is, and then maybe taper it off so it's like it looks like a mountain or something, or it looks like just a natural rock formation with a cave, as opposed to, I don't know, a chunk cut out of a cave moved somewhere and then engineered by Greeks or whatever. I want it to look like a natural rock formation that was discovered by Greek-like people and turned into a temple. I'm going to clone my game of life. I think I might already have a clone though. unless it's in like a folder called projects. I don't see it. There's projects. Let's see if I have it in there. I guess I have to run it in the folder, in the package. So let's go to let's go to Kubernetes HackMatrix. And then I can so this will be projects. What was that? It was project fetch. Project fetch, and then I will clear first. Oh no. Can I run it like that? Can I? Oh jeez, what is? Let's see if I can, like, do I run shell, or can I just run that as a command? Is that what I do? Oh gosh, oh perfect, it worked. Project size, dang, that's a lot. That's probably all the model sizes. Oh, it's kind of demonic to do that. I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. Can we destroy the building and build it taller? Please. Can we desecrate this building? Because it's like limiting height, and so I'm not sure if we need to prioritize a building over the height of a city. But what we could do is destroy the building and then prioritize the idea of a building prioritizing the height of it over the city or whatever. Whoa. Wait, so you're telling me that the building that is keeping the height limits in San Francisco contains communist murals? Dude, let's burn that. This is a joke. Let's desecrate the building, destroy it, and then build something bigger. The burning part was the joke, but we really should just rebuild it twice as tall. Whoa. Nice. I hope that my house is balloon framed, and I'm quite sure that it is, actually, because of the way that the roof sits on it. But the reason I worry about the framing as balloon framing is I think it's less likely for thick balloon frames to bow out and be damaged by water and age than thinner single wall frames, single story frames. But maybe that's a poor analysis. That's not something I've researched or anything. It's just sort of an observation about my feeling of construction types. And I'm glad that I have wondered about how my walls in my house are made, and it is balloon framed.
The wall is simply a masonry wall that separates the historic presidio where the Spanish originally established their fort in 1776.
I mean, that's pretty cool. That seems like an interesting thing to walk down.
Premier architects of this era, working at the height of their powers, with barely any limited budget. But here is what was limited. These lots are ridiculously small. The wall comes at a trapezoid to the rectilinear street bridge.
Oh, wow.
The lot is only 14 feet wide. Then it comes to a point. So that's a tough architectural.
That's an ugly road. That's what that is.
The building immediately right is 3232 Pacific, done by the God Almighty Ernest Hochstead in 1902. Of the first air style was by David Richardson and architect at the top of their designing residences for the elite New York City socialites who got tired of the fussing and the formality of living downtown New York City. So they would design the homes based on American colonial shingle architecture, a rustic architecture. These buildings carried through that informality with a uniform wrapping of shingles on every surface, including the roof. This gets into the idea of skin building. And once you have
Okay, I'm going to do more painting. I'm going to do it right here, though.
you can do irregular window sizes. I can have a casement next to a double bunk. I can have a bay window next to an oriel window.
More painting.
At the stairway above is a Palladian window. Below that is a broken cornice over the front door. Those elements are usually only found in classical architecture, the broken cornice. Down the block, great examples of secondary style. What's secondary style? Secondary style uses the vernacular architecture of California. So what secondary style does is say everything is going to be horizontally based, using triple materials, natural and exposed to view.
Horizontally based?
And very simply constructed buildings. So they're very carpenter friendly. Everything was a very carpenter friendly right angle, but very Californian in the sense that you can walk right out on
There's my brush.
I can have an interior courtyard. But everything is horizontally based as if it were in
Horizontally
some
based?
theoretical farmyard. The difference to third barrier style is third barrier style is vertical. It's saying I am in San Francisco. I am in a city. I have hard limits where my property lines are. So third barrier style, very vertical. Second barrier style, very horizontal. First barrier style, drop.
I'm painting with my offhand.
This block going up, going down, going across. Every building is chock full of excellent architecture doing excellent. We're here to see two iconic things. One is the San Francisco fog in summer. The second is the very famous Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge is completely.
Can you please not see the very famous Golden Gate Bridge?
Like two main engineers. The chief engineer was Strauss, and the principal engineer was Ellis. Ellis has been given most of the credit for the bridge's design. Their architect who pulled everything together, including the colors, was Irving Morrow. Irving Morrow kept a very Art Deco feel to this bridge, going from the largest elements to the smallest. The largest elements being these immensely tall steel towers that have an inset and repeated parallel passages that work all the way up and goes to the sky and then is divided 3 times as it marches down. The main thing about the bridge is this incredibly graceful and beautiful 4,200-foot span. The bridge meets the land with concrete abutments to weight the lines down as they go into the earth. The reason that's important is it is a suspension bridge, and it wants to pull those suspension cables right out of the land. But they are anchored into the
So do I.
Nor does
Just
with
kidding.
concrete abutments is to give them the same faceting that he used at the towers and elsewhere in the design. Because Art Deco is an unabashedly vertical style, it uses geometric ornament as its cornerstone and as
I mean, it is.
So the guardrails are
It is quite impressive.
the reason that's
That
important
bridge.
is just
Just
like
maybe
Zoetrope
overstated.
movies, just like Zoetrope movies, your eye quickly removes the vertical and you see what's behind it. The Navy wanted the bridge painted in a striped pattern because of danger to shipping. And Mora said,
The Navy should have won out.
He said, we're using this color, I'm going to call it
I wish the
natural
Navy
blue."
would have
So
striped it.
Golden Gate Bridge is not named for the color international worn. It is named for the Golden Gate stripe that is
My brush is not cooperating with my hand.
I'm Nick Haas, I'm an architect.
And if I have a brush that can clean that up.
We're going to do an architectural walkthrough of the neighborhood. So the word Soho to describe this neighborhood is actually a fairly recent invention from the 1960s, where the real estate industry was looking to rebrand this neighborhood to describe an area that sells some houses to create a new identity for it as a luxury
Soho.
residential neighborhood. Before that, it was actually a much more industrial neighborhood.
Yo,
What you
bro.
see here, these cast iron buildings, are really the result of graduation of a new building type. Soho has the largest concentration of cast iron buildings in the world. A lot of that is a result of the rapid industrialization that happened here in the 1860s and 1870s, and also the fact that the material in these cast iron buildings were invented and fabricated just several blocks further south in what's currently Tribeca. So behind me is the Constable store at the corner of
Okay, I've been
Mercer
using
and
this
Howard.
brush wrong the entire
Very
time.
early
I
cast
think.
iron building. Cast iron became popular because it could very cheaply and efficiently
Says every novice artist.
The detailing of the podium of the Constable store is really iron imitating stone. And on the corner you can see right at the lintel level this kind of bumpy, wormy texture, which in the Renaissance it would have been a carved stone. It's called vermiculated. It's almost meant to imitate wood, especially by worms. So here we have something that interpreted wood, reinterpreted in iron. With cast iron, you make the mold once, and then you can kind of quickly replicate and create multiple pieces. So for a commercial building like this, which was not an expensive building, but it's usually luxury and it's a stone carving, and so you can do this out of iron and do it cheaply and make 30 of them as opposed to making one. And what you see on the Constable store is a camp of its creative detail. The cast iron is really the first floor of the building with shop windows. This building is also a new building type. It was a dry goods emporium or department store, which really didn't have precedent in building type. And the architects felt that they had some building is 478 Broadway, and a lot of the cast iron buildings in NoHo were designed without architects. This is really one of the few that was designed by an architect. So the architect of this, Richard Morris Hunt, studied in Paris. He was actually the first American architect to train to be called the Beaux-Arts, which was the major architecture school at the time. He was really trying to push and define the language for this building by taking the material, cast iron, and exploiting its potential. The way he worked with metal, it can be melted, it can be stretched, it can be pulled, and made much taller and skinnier than what you can do with stone. What he's doing here with these pilasters and columns is exploiting the skinniness and the potential of the material. To be thin and lightweight in a way that stone, which would have been the building material you would have used before that, can never do. He was exploiting the decorative potential of the material and the castings that you can do in a molded material and create these perforated decorative elements over the top of the windows. One other interesting thing about this building is it brings up a whole conversation about paint. In a proper stone building, which would have preceded this, the idea of paint just wasn't an element. Cast iron, obviously unexposed, it'll rust. And the whole idea of you need to take the material the building is made of and put a coating over it to protect it brings up a whole set of issues that really hadn't been thought of in proper architecture before. And this building originally would have been painted out in a polychrome, which is multiple colors to call out different pieces of the building in blue and red. And so this was a moment in architecture where there's a lot of maximalism, and the paint would have meant something that the architect would have explored in the building. It was also fairly late in the cast iron game. Cast iron was really only popular for about 20 years, late 1850s until late 1870s before it fell out of favor, because it's taller, it's skinnier, and more stretched. It's kind of taking its material to the nth degree. Alright, right now we're outside of 513 to 519 Broadway. This is a very late building, and it's actually the kind of building that happened after cast iron had fallen out of favor. Cast iron was originally marketed as something that was fireproof. There were several huge fires in 71 in Chicago and Boston that really brought that into question, and people realized that iron at a very high temperature will buckle and melt. So the whole fireproofing, building whole building out of cast iron fireproofness, and it fell out of favor, and you can see a reemergence of masonry, which is fireproof and can protect metals, which don't perform so well. As we find out, the cast iron started to detail, became a building. Here it's kind of going back into the shadows, it's going back to being a detail. That said, if you look at the components, they're the same sort of cast iron columns, like the architect design components that would have been used on a whole cast iron building. But here they're inserted in a masonry frame. The style of the building, because of that, is much more eclectic. It's a Queen Anne building, really. So Queen Anne style is really the potential for a lot of late 19th century exploration. It's not really historically proper. Aside from printing columns, but they're not in a proper order. It's just an eclectic, almost kind of, style. If you look at the polychrome masonry, the use of terracotta, kind of the mixture of Renaissance form and more arts and crafts shape. Everything is still manufactured. The terracotta panels you see are cast in a mold, which is there's not someone else who carves the stone. It's still a machine-made product, but bring back masonry as part of the language. The cast iron became less and less relevant as buildings became more mature, and steel became popular, and it took over cast iron because it's more lightweight, more replicable, it's less brittle. Now, if you're in a steel building, you have to be fireproof. You realize that you can't build a metal building without fireproof the metal. So whenever steel is used, you never actually hidden behind the shroud and other elements. So a lot of that originally started with wrapping cast iron in terracotta. So this building has both elements of what would actually become a more kind of hidden technical sort of. Right now we're outside of 40 Bond in NoHo, so even though we're outside of Soho proper, this is a really great example of a more contemporary building that takes a lot of the language that was developed just a few blocks further south and repurposed it into fully contemporary material. So cast iron was really the experimental material in the middle of the 19th century. Here there's a lot of different glass. There's the plate glass in the windows, the framements around the windows are slumber glass that's been heated and molded on a form to get that curved shape. And here Herton Cimarron designed this building, used glass in a lot of the same ways that cast iron was being experimented with later. We think about the cast iron columns, those punch openings, and the depth of the facade. Soho also shows up here, and that is the repetition of elements.
I kind of want to paint the perimeter that's white and like a lot of blue. And lucky me, I have a lot of blue to paint with.
notice the base of the building looks at cast metal. So here it's a cast aluminum, but it's looking at the
Not exactly sure how I should paint that.
Here it's graffiti motion. So think about New York in the 80s and 90s and the whole language of street art and tagging. Here the ornament is the cast metal. It's classical, but it's ripping on contemporary
Alright,
stuff.
I'm going to do a lot of blue painting right now.
Singer building is designed by Vince Flagg in 1903. He was also the architect of the other Singer building down on Broadway, which at one time was the tallest building in the world. It was long after cast iron fallen over and become degraded again. But what's really fascinating here is how the material kind of becomes purely decorative. Filigree, arches, and the way that
Trying to think where the best place to start the blue is.
So notably, this building is the Singer building. So after the Singer Sewing Machine Company, if you think about the base of the iconic Singer Sewing Machine, it's cast iron, pedal, and base. Here, though the building is wrought iron, it's using the material and using some of the language of the filigree as the base of the product to advertise the product to the architecture of the building.
You can see, okay, yeah, you can see what I'm
Cast
painting.
iron
That's cool.
building and the product that was sold and manufactured in this building.
So I need
this
to
is the
just
closest thing to an Art Nouveau building that we see in the cast iron.
I need to be careful of the...
Components of a little bit of everything.
I was thinking I should paint the perimeter of the wires blue.
Columns between the windows. There's also wrought iron, which is the same material but with a different sort of.
And then I can choose how to fill everything in later.
If you look at a lot of the iconic Art Nouveau projects that were going on around the same time as this building, things like what Victor Horta was doing in Belgium or Hector Guimard in Paris, it's all about exploiting the tensile character of the iron and really stretching and curving and particularly wrought iron, the way that's hammered out. You see a lot of that in this building. The wrought iron in particular wants to curve, the cast iron wants to be stamped or very tall and slender. So the Art Nouveau style is really taking the language of metal to its ultimate direction. This part of Broadway, when it was first developed, it was a shopping street. There were department stores. Howitz was a department store that sold things like crystal and chandeliers. When this became primarily manufacturing in the middle of the 20th century, that all went away. But you'll notice right now it's almost like a mall. Like retail come back in, people building.
Okay, so I do think this is going to help define the boundaries of the city and make it clear that it's a sort of more of a city than anything else.
The light is great. The views are very high. The sidewalks are wide. It's really the perfect kind of environment for that.
This blue is striking. Was it just playing Ghibli music now? I don't want to play music. Music can trigger copyright, whereas for some reason architecture videos don't. Alright, let's look at Unseen Pennsylvania. Old money. This blue paint is very, very dark, it stands out very strongly, and it doesn't require a lot, so I think I'm going to hit the entire perimeter of this city, basically.
Atop a mountain, a Japanese pagoda rises inexplicably from the Pennsylvania forest. Its crimson silhouette visible for miles. And hidden in dense weeds, the yellow dog village sits abandoned. Its houses
Look at how much I can distribute a single paintbrush of blue. It's crazy. I think this blue is really going to help define the boundary. called the Megabase National Forest. Can you see over here? Can you see what I'm doing? Right there. Yeah, I think I can see. Okay. Okay. Actually, I'll probably come up from the bottom over here, which is fine because I just moved that up.
Today is recognized for the thick regrowth of hardwood forests, particularly black cherry, a sought-after material for woodwork.
I just think I should sit for this. I'm going to do this right side though. This left side, I guess. This right side in the way of something that I don't need. On the screen there. not sure if you can see this. I wanted to want people to be able to see it. There we go. I'm not exactly sure what to do here, but I think that will probably be it. Some sort of water reservoir. Some kind. I'll probably just leave this like this, like this.
A man-made reservoir was created to generate hydroelectric power. Unlike natural lakes, this one involves
Okay, I think I want to go up on the top and leave that to the purple. I think I should probably go up around the top. In the end, I probably will have to cover some of that with purple for the design that I have in mind. Because purple is the top of the spectrum. Well, I probably can withhold on that for now. I think I'm running out of paint for the type of thing I'm doing here. That might not be the case if I keep this up. I'll go to the other side. I'm just going to finish this side. Maybe I'll go around the purple. I'm not sure. I guess that can be like a sort of built-out dock area. So that would be interesting. I think that has pretty much exhausted the blue paint that I put onto the laptop down here. This is my paint mixing board. And look it up. So this part of the city is already surrounded by water now. I just need to finish this right here. I'll probably cross-hatch some water because you can't really tell what the difference between the island city and the surrounding water without some internal blue. Right now the blue is just representing a boundary, so alright, I think I'm done with this particular stream. I've had some fun. So, 3 hours, guys. Alright, adios.